expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth analysis.
One hit changed everything. One shove, one cheap shot, one moment caught on camera, and suddenly, an entire professional league was forced to tear up its own rulebook overnight. For months, fans sat in stunned silence watching something that felt completely wrong. A rookie sensation named Caitlin Clark was getting hammered, shoved, and hit with contact that had nothing to do with basketball. It looked less like a sport and more like a fight nobody had signed up for. And through all of it, the referees just stood there, letting it slide, almost like getting knocked around was some kind of unofficial welcome party for rookies. But behind closed doors, something was boiling. The people running the league were watching too, not just the games, but the money, the ratings, the sponsorships. The entire future of women's basketball was sitting on the line, and the silence from officials wasn't just embarrassing anymore. It was dangerous. It was a financial time bomb waiting to go off. And that's exactly why the top brass finally stepped in and changed the way this sport gets policed, maybe forever. To understand how things got this bad, you have to rewind to the start of Clark's rookie season. She came out of college as the most dominant scorer women's basketball had ever seen. She signed a massive 8-year, $28 million shoe deal before she even played a single professional game. She brought millions of brand new eyes to a league that had never seen this kind of spotlight before. But instead of being welcomed with open arms, she walked straight into a storm. Game after game, defenders grabbed her, bumped her, clotheslined her, and the whistles stayed silent, like this was just some kind of initiation every rookie had to survive. Then came the moment that broke the internet. A guard from Chicago blindsided Clark with a hit away from the ball, right before an inbound play, and sent her crashing to the floor. It was originally waved off as a routine foul. Later, the league upgraded it. But by then, the damage was already done. Fans were furious. Analysts were furious. And the big money sponsors backing this league. They were furious too, wondering out loud why nobody was protecting their biggest investment. That single moment was just the spark. What came after was a full-blown firestorm behind closed office doors. For weeks, sports shows argued back and forth. Some old-school voices called it tough basketball, just part of the game. But millions of regular fans weren't buying it. They saw exactly what it was. Contact that would draw an instant whistle in the men's league was getting completely ignored here. Elbows to the ribs. Hands around the neck. Hits landing seconds after the whistle already blew. Clip after clip went viral. And it wasn't hard to see the pattern. Players felt free to take shots at her because they knew nothing would happen. And here's the part that really stung. The league was more than happy to post her highlight plays all over social media to rack up views and clicks. But protecting her on the actual court, that wasn't happening. Sponsors started asking uncomfortable questions. What happens to our investment if she gets hurt on a play that should have never been legal in the first place? What happened next, behind those glass office doors, would flip the entire power structure of the league. This wasn't just a few missed calls here and there. It exposed a real problem in how the league had been run for years. For decades, this league built its identity around rough, physical, grinded-out basketball. But almost overnight, the game changed. Fast breaks, deep three-pointers, flashy passing, all driven largely by one player who could pull up from the logo and make it look easy. The referees simply weren't ready for it. They weren't trained to handle defenders using illegal hand checks, hip checks, and shoulder bumps to slow her down before she even touched the ball. Defenders figured out the loophole fast. Hit her before the catch, and the whistle probably won't come. Hit her after she catches it, and maybe it will. So every single possession turned into a battle where the real contact happened off the ball, completely unpunished. Clip after clip surfaced online showing tripped feet and grabbed arms that never got called. The outrage kept climbing until it forced the people at the very top to step in directly. Here's something a lot of casual fans don't realize. The NBA owns almost 60% of this league. That means the NBA commissioner isn't just watching from a distance. He's the one holding real power over its financial health. And when he looks at the TV ratings, he's not just seeing basketball. He's seeing a business explosion. Games featuring Clark's team were selling out arenas built for men's basketball. Merchandise sales were through the roof. The league even rolled out a full charter flight program worth tens of millions of dollars, something that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. the league was suddenly negotiating a media rights deal worth over $2 billion. $2 billion. And if Clark had gone down with a serious injury from an uncalled, unnecessary hit, that entire deal, that entire financial future, could have collapsed instantly. So emergency meetings started happening. The NBA commissioner, the league's own commissioner, and senior officiating leaders sat down to fix this mess before it got any worse. And the message coming out of those meetings was blunt. The days of calling dangerous contact, just part of the welcome, were officially done. New instructions went out to every referee crew in the league. Off-ball contact, body checks, hits on players away from the ball. All of it was getting a much closer look. Referees were told to use replay far more aggressively and to upgrade fouls to flagrants whenever contact looked excessive or unnecessary, especially away from the actual play. The focus was specifically on defenders using their shoulders and hips to blast through screens, the exact tactic that had been used on Clark all season long. And now, officials were being graded on how well they controlled this kind of dangerous contact. The league didn't stop there. They added dedicated observers to every single game, tracking off-ball hits in real time and feeding footage straight to a review center. Players who had built entire reputations on physical, borderline tactics suddenly found themselves in foul trouble in the first quarter. Coaches had to rethink everything on the fly, and the results were immediate. Scoring went up. The pace got faster. The game became more exciting for the millions of new fans tuning in every single night. This isn't the first time a league has had to rewrite its rules to protect its biggest star. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, the NBA had to dismantle an entire era of brutal, physical defense built specifically to slow down Michael Jordan. Years later, they adjusted the rules again to stop defenders from grabbing and shoving shooters like Steph Curry. Fans didn't pay to watch their stars get mugged. They paid to watch greatness. And now the same logic was being applied here. Of course, not everyone was happy. When word got out about the new officiating rules, veteran players and coaches erupted. Some legendary names insisted Clark needed to adapt to the league's physical style, no exceptions. When refs started calling games tighter and handing out technicals, critics said the league was babying one rookie to protect corporate money. Locker rooms were tense. Press conferences turned awkward, with players carefully choosing their words, clearly aware the league office was now watching every statement closely. It became a genuine clash between the old-school way of doing things and the new era this one player had single-handedly created. But the league didn't back down. They understood the bigger picture. The long-term survival of the sport depended on this shift. The changes went far beyond just officiating. Before all this, teams flew commercial, dealing with crowded airports and public terminals. But as her fame exploded, those same airports turned into safety risks, with fans mobbing the team at every stop. Under pressure, the league fast-tracked a full charter flight program and boosted arena security everywhere. Coaches had to completely rebuild their defensive game plans too. The old strategy of throwing a physical enforcer at a star player and roughing her up off the ball simply didn't work anymore. Now defenses had to rely on real footwork, discipline, and smart schemes instead of just muscle. And that shift raised the skill level of the entire league, giving young players more room to show off what they could really do. The media coverage exploded right alongside it. For the first time, officiating in this league became a nightly talking point on major sports networks. Every questionable whistle got broken down, analyzed, and debated. That nonstop attention made it almost impossible for referees to slide back into old habits. As the money kept pouring in, something interesting started happening across the entire league. The resentment that once filled locker rooms began quietly fading into the background. Team owners who used to bleed cash season after season were suddenly watching their arenas sell out night after night. Ticket prices climbed. Merchandise flew off the shelves faster than teams could restock it. Franchise valuations that once sat quiet for years suddenly doubled, then tripled, catching the attention of billionaire investors who wanted a piece of this new gold rush. Cities that never even considered a team before were now pitching for expansion franchises. International markets started paying attention too, eyeing this explosion as a chance to bring the league global. And through all of it, player salaries and bonuses began climbing right alongside the revenue, tied directly to the wave that one rookie had created almost single-handedly. Even the veterans who once complained the loudest about special treatment started changing their tune. Slowly, they began to realize something important. This protection wasn't just shielding one player. It was filling their own bank accounts too. Better travel, better security, better pay, better long-term benefits after their careers ended. The very same players who once called it favoritism were now cashing checks that existed because of the system they had originally resisted. This moment wasn't just about one player having a rough rookie season. It became something much bigger, a permanent shift in how an entire league treats its most valuable stars going forward. It proved a simple truth that sports leagues everywhere eventually learn the hard way. Protecting your biggest talent isn't favoritism. It isn't babying anyone. It's survival. Without protection, there is no product. Without the product, there's no money, no growth, no future for anyone in that locker room. And this shift didn't just save one rookie season. It reset the entire blueprint for how future superstars will be treated the moment they step onto that court, no matter which league they play in. So if this story pulled you in, don't just scroll past it like it's nothing. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what you think happens next as this league keeps growing, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next chapter of this story. Because history keeps proving the same thing, over and over again. The biggest changes in sports always start with one single moment that nobody saw coming.